Hey kids, it's the Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Fresh from my recent urban adventures in central London, today you find me out and about, going into the urban jungle again. This time I'm in the environs of Uxbridge, for no other reason than it's a sunny lunchtime, so I wanted to get out again, and I haven't ridden up this way for a long time. I used to come here a lot because I used to actually work here, in fact in this very building up the front here at Xerox many years ago. But the only other time I've ridden here on a motorcycle is when I did my motorcycle test, which I took in Uxbridge, the Mod 1. There's like a Mod 1 test centre here, and then I did the Mod 2 in this area as well, and I don't know this area that well, so it was all a bit fraught. It was this time of year, and it was chucking it down with rain, so it was the worst possible conditions, but I thought now a few years have passed, it might be worth just coming back, maybe retracing my steps a little bit, and just for old time's sake seeing what it's like. So there we are, stick around, stay tuned, let's see what we can find today. Actually, the subject of riding test, the building on my left was where I did my theory test, I think, which is the first formal test of your motorcycle test in this country, which is quite difficult to get through, it has to be said. I'm sure maybe the theory test was in that building there, yeah, left. Wellington House, that was the one. I'm now stuck in a yellow box and not able to get out of it. Not good. So there you go, first test failure. Entering a box without being able to get out. Luckily, I'm not on my test. The last time I came down this road I was on an old Yamaha 500, which has to be said was a lot lighter than this bike, so actually probably a bit easier. And I had a man behind me on a big white bike that looked like a policeman, watching my every move. What a horrendous experience taking any sort of driving test is. This was the test centre just here, or still is I expect. I'm not going to linger because it sends shivers down my spine. Driving test centre, DSA. Yeah, this is the place where it all happened. Wow, let's go and have a look. And there are the dreaded cones. Gosh, now I did my Mod 1. It was about this time of year actually, but it was a very icy day. I had several cancelled because of the ice that year. So I had a number of full starts. Anyway, happy to say I've moved on from that and on to much bigger things now. Bigger and better, I like to think. Let's let this fella go first. Right, see you test centre. Must remember to indicate on the way out. Something my instructor was very hot on. Okay. That's quite enough of that, sends shivers down my spine. So first time I failed the Mod 1. In fact, I had a perfect run around the cones, everything was going well and I thought I had it in the bag. Then the very last manoeuvre I think it was, which was the dreaded swerve test, I hit a cone and knocked it over, and that's an instant fail. So I then had to go through it all again a few weeks later. And there's another one of these yellow boxes here, which you don't want to enter until the lights are green. Another little favourite one that cashes people out on their tests, apparently. Now I did my Mod 2 starting from here as well. And that was in the January, very rainy day. I remember I had to do the whole test with my visor up, and I was wearing glasses at the time, so the rain just piled into my visor, into my face, and it was an absolute nightmare. I could barely see where I was going, and surprise, surprise, I failed that one first time too. Again, mainly because of visibility. I actually went over a mini roundabout, didn't even know it was there. I didn't know this area. I didn't see if these traffic lights are green or red. How does this work then? Green. Didn't know the area at all. Came round here and did my test. Might even see the very roundabout in a minute. I don't know if I can find it again. And went over this mini roundabout without slowing down enough to demonstrate that I'd seen it. So once again, that was deemed dangerous riding, which of course it was. And I failed, so I had to take that one a couple of weeks later. So Took me 2 goes at the mod 1 and 2 at the mod 2. Here's some now, look, coming back on the lesson, I expect. But just sort of vaguely retracing my steps from my test. Definitely came this way. Right, we're heading towards Ivor Heath now, which is famous in my mind for one main thing, and that's because that's where Pinewood Studios are based. The famous film studios, all sorts of things made there. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars films, more recently Gravity, and at this very moment I believe they're filming the latest Star Wars film there, the one that's the sort of prequel, is it? I don't know, whatever it is. Anyway, Harrison Ford's in it, so he's working here as we speak, so never know, we might actually get to ride by there. Not quite sure where they are, but they're around here somewhere. So this little ride, as I say, was really just an excuse to get out on the bike while the sun was out, because it's been raining a lot of late. In fact, it's pretty wet under tyre here, as you can see. And also just wanted to check and see how cold it's getting, because it's now sort of mid to late November. When I left it was about 10 degrees, and I was wondering whether it's the time of year that I should start to think about layering up a bit more, and maybe putting my thermal underwear on. I haven't done today. It's now saying 12 degrees. And I have to say it feels quite warm. I've got my heated grips on though on the lowest setting, I think for the first time this year, so that's a bit of a shame. In fact, this could have been the roundabout I missed. I think it might have been. Yeah, definitely one there. Or was it the second one? It was one of these two that I missed on my test. So yeah, I have to say, very toasty and warm today. Don't need the old thermals on yet, and hopefully we'll get away with it for another couple of weeks. Let's go down this way. Pinewood Studios, that's the one. Let's go and have a look. So yeah, so this area really is the Hollywood of Great Britain, or actually probably Europe. There's lots of the major feature films are made in this area. In this sort of Uxbridge, Watford area generally, there's a number of studios. There's studios at Denham, at Elstree, and of course here at Pinewood, as well as a few others besides. I guess Pinewood's most famous set of films, although let's face it, Star Wars is pretty famous, would be the Bond films. They're all done here. Considering you're so close to central London, we're probably 15 miles away from the middle of London. It really is quite amazing how countryside it is here. And in fact there are various trails and things through the woods here. I think this is known as Ivor Heath. And you come across bits of old film sets when you're going through the woods and things. We're coming up to Pinewood now. This is the old gate, which is no longer in use, and you can see the studios behind there. Dare I go in, or will I get told off? Let's have a look. Barriers. Let's go in, turn around and come straight out again. So here we are, this is where it's all at. Somewhere in here is Harrison Ford. Coming. And over there I just saw the 007 stage at the back there. If you got a glimpse on the camera, possibly not. But yeah, there we go. Pinewood Studios. Who would have thought it? So a lot of this back lot is used for filming as well. I don't think there's anywhere for me to stop and peer in, but there are gates and things that I have looked over before, and you can see bits of water tanks and old bits of kit that have been used for film sets, which is quite interesting if you're into that sort of thing, which I am. I'm quite anaraki about that kind of stuff. However, my next problem is, where the hell am I, and where do I go from here? Let's see. Stay tuned. Let's see where we go. Okay, so I've turned around, just coming up on Pinewood again. Don't know if I can see anything. That's the back of the 007 stage. Heavy plant machinery. Gorgeous day. This time of year, I'm really surprisingly warm. Okay folks, so that's about it. That's all I've got to say for you this time round. Hope you've enjoyed it. A bit of a strange mixture, a bit about my bike test and just retracing old steps, and a look at Pinewood Studios. So you know, you can't say I don't give you diversity. So ride safe, look forward to speaking to you next time. Until then, this has been the Missenden Flyer. Cheerio.